Thank you so much for joining. It's so lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me here.
What a Saturday. What a turnout.
Wow, yes. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Man, you have no idea. This town has been such an anime town for so long. I don't know if you've been a part of that. I don't know where you're from, but this OhioCon, how many of you guys went to OhioCon over the years? Like, that was always one of the biggest anime conventions out there.
That makes sense.
And I think the anime is still really in the blood here. But like before there were big anime conventions anywhere else, there were big anime conventions here. So
I love that.
I think the spirit of anime is really in this building today.
I agree. Cool. I feel anime in this building today.
I told the person I work with who travels with me all the shows, I said, drag out all the prints that nobody asks for because they're going to ask for them here.
They're going to sell.
And it was 100% true.
In Ohio.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
There's a vendor here that's selling, I was wandering the floor this morning, there's a vendor here that is selling toys from Sergeant Frog. Like old, like
is that from like the 80s, I feel, or 70s?
It was an old show. I know we dubbed it what felt like the 80s, but I think it was more like the 2000s. I have no idea. Maybe early 2000s. It
all meshes together.
But I have no idea when the show was originally. I'm sure somebody out here knows all this data, because you all do. But it was so rare. I never saw any toys for that show even then. So it's like there's so much cool stuff on the floor too. It's very fun.
Thank you guys for having the spirit of anime.
Yes, thank you for bringing it.
Yes. Well, before we begin, I want to say personally and selfishly thank you because you influenced my career and don't even know it. In 2010, I was living in Orlando and I was a big fan of Dragon Ball, but had never been to a con before. And I heard about MegaCon online, and so I made a Bulma cosplay. And I just went alone, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just walking around. And I didn't know who you were. I just liked the anime. And I was walking by your booth, and you said, Bulma, come over here. And you grabbed me, and we took a picture together, and you were like, I'm Vegeta. And I was alone, and I was like, what a nice guy. What fun cons. The cons are so fun. I just met Vegeta.
Yeah, imagine if that had happened like on the street, though.
Oh, that would have been even cooler. And I was
but
dressed
what
as
if it
Bulma
wasn't
on
me?
the street.
It was just like,
a random
you're
guy.
Bulma. I'm Vegeta. You're like, no, you're not.
You weirdo.
I'm not getting into your van, bro.
I don't believe you. But it's crazy because after that day, I was like, cons are so fun. I'm going to keep going. And now, 15 years later, I'm here doing this as my job. So I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
For being so friendly.
It's just the spirit of these shows, right?
Yeah.
Like, I yelled at every Bulma.
Yeah, as you should. That is your right.
It's just it's just a reaction I have to Bulmas. I yell at them. Yeah.
And you know what? Bulmas, they're probably like, yes, Vegeta, let's go.
And I apologize that I don't remember exactly what this interaction was.
I simply would not expect that.
What version of Bulma were you?
I was the pink Dragon Ball T-shirt Bulma with the belts.
With the poofy
blue,
hair?
Yes,
okay, yeah, that's a good Bulma.
Yes, but thank you.
In my studio in Plano in Dallas, I had purchased this poster from a Dragon Ball kind of tribute show that they did where all these illustrators submitted works. And I bought this poster that has like illustrations of what all of Bulma's outfits look like throughout the show.
Most
so
fashionable person
She's
on
so
that
fashionable.
show.
Yeah.
Yes, best outfits other than the GT Vegeta, I would say.
Yeah, I mean they did Bulma pretty well considering that they just didn't add any other girls into the show either.
Yeah.
There's like, nah, no more girls.
She simply will be the one.
Yeah.
Videl, we don't know her.
It's just boys for the rest of the time.
Get her out of here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, please go ahead and feel free to start lining up while we converse a little bit. You have such an influential career. You direct, produce, edit. You're a voice actor. I'm going to ask that origin story question of like, how did you get started in all of this?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's
very
vast.
That's a long one. But
if you want to give clip
it's
notes.
pretty like to go all the way back, and I won't go this far. I won't describe everything between this point and there. I have kind of the same voice now that I had when I was 11. my voice dropped.
Very frightening 11-year-old,
Yeah,
intimidating.
I was like, hey, Mom, sorry, something's weird. And so from that time on, everyone was like, you need to get in the radio, son, because I lived in Texas, and there was no concept of becoming a voice actor or anything like that. And so I thought, well, I might as well get into radio because Robin Williams made it look really cool, and I was like, turns out it wasn't exactly what Good Morning Vietnam was, but it was more like just Vietnam. It was a lot of weird hours and really painful at times and just really abusive people. And but it was radio, and I was doing something with my voice, and what I found out I really loved doing was not as I really liked being on the air, but I loved cutting the commercials. I liked editing them because that's what I did when I was a kid. I was this weird kid who was obsessed with sound effects records at the library. I would check them out at the library and then listen to all the sound effects. In fact, I've gone back and I've collected every sound effects record that I can think of from my childhood, and I've framed them. And I just like the way things sounded when I was a kid. I liked to plug everything into everything. And when my teachers would ask me to write a paper, I would always ask if I could do an audio project, which meant I don't have to write it. I could do something just creative, and they'd still give me a good grade for it. And so it just sort of fit with what I was doing. And eventually, I was going to school at University of North Texas, originally as an opera major, and then later a radio, television, and film major. And there was a person I knew in school. Her name's Carly Hunter, and she said, "You do voices, right?" I'm like, "Are you insulting me?" And she goes, "No, I'm serious. Like, you should come up to this thing, and it's in Hewland. It's like Fort Worth. It's this little tiny company, and we're dubbing this show called Dragon Ball." I said, "Okay, what's that?" And she's like, "I can't explain it."
You're gonna come in and see
It's
all these
complicated.
different versions of this one character we have.
Yeah, and so I went up and I auditioned, and I got the part of this guy named Yamcha, and he's like super cool. Poor guy. But that was the first role I had in any of anime was Yamcha, and I think that's like perfect because Yamcha dies again and again, and I think that's kind of ultimately what I've done for my entire career is play characters who die and luckily come back to life. Thank God for Dragon Balls. But yeah, so it started from there. I kind of was very lucky and got one of the coolest jobs I could ever get as the first thing out of the gate. And now at that time, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't know this. At that time, it was on TV, and the people who were really watching it were like you guys, but tiny. Like you were all babies. And if I ever did go to a convention, like sometimes in like even Columbus, back in the earliest days, it wouldn't be fans your age loving the work that I've done. They were either kids with their parents that would come up and say, "What have you done to our kids? Why is he screaming around the house?" I'm like, "It's not my fault. I didn't make this thing." Or it was like hardcore otakus, like hardcore. Like there would be only 9 people out in the audience, and all of them had something mean to say. "Excuse me, Mr. Sabat. Why did you guys change the music?" I'm like, "It wasn't my call. I'm sorry. I just have a pretty voice. That's it. That's all I do." And then I just kind of sat there and watched anime just like kind of grow up all around me, and I just sort of sat in one place. Like my whole career could be just this weird montage of me sitting in this couch with like all of anime happening all around me, and then I just like now it's this. And people are so cool, and like they love the show. And like we used to work on shows where the gap between the time the show was made and the time we were actually dubbing it, and then the time ultimately people would see it, was like 15 years. And then we just reached this singularity where like all the old anime pretty much had been dubbed, and now we're starting to dub stuff that you see a week later online. It's so cool because that creates this importance that was different than before. We were just doing it because we thought it was fun, it was neat, but now you get instant feedback on the stuff you're doing. I know that in a week people are going to see this, and I also know that you only get one chance to do an awesome job on the show, and that's all you get, and everyone gets to watch what you do, so it better be darn good. So if I could go back in time, I would have said, Chris, try and find some other way to do that Piccolo line where he's like, yes, 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 I can do this. I feel. Did anyone remember this? Great, yes. It was awful. It was terrible. I was like, who's gonna notice?
It's growth.
No one's gonna care.
It became iconic.
Yeah. So there you go. And now I'm here. And then I came in our car this morning, and now you all are here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's crazy how things have changed just from what you were saying when you started, and now you can do it from your home. I feel like back in the day, it was like they had to cut it in studio. I know a lot of stuff is still done in studio, but
Funimation Crunchyroll still likes to record people locally as much as they can. I think it's just sort of to keep the spirit of the studio concept alive. But there are a lot of shows I'm getting to do remotely too. But man, back in those earliest days of recording, you guys have no idea how clunky it was. Like,
really?
It was like the most awkward recording process because we use these. Now we can just do 50 takes in 30 seconds. Like if I just say, try it. Okay, no, do it again. And it instantly cuts back to the video. We got a chance to do it to video, but then if we wanted to get another opportunity to do it to video again, to do the voice to video, we'd have to press this button that would stop this giant tape machine, and it would go like, and then it would stop. And sometimes it would start rewinding back to where you wanted to go. And sometimes it would just start rewinding all the way to the back of the show.
Oh, no.
And you couldn't stop it because of the software that we were running. It was just broken. And so a lot of the stuff we did just kind of wild. We would watch it once, and I'd say, just give me several different versions of it. But it was the slowest, clunky process. I didn't even get to hear the original voices of Dragon Ball Z until we did the first video game.
So you didn't know like some people probably don't base it off the original voices.
I mean, we certainly think about that now because we get to preview it in the original language. But the first show that Funimation ever did with all the Japanese music and sound effects was because I insisted on it. I'm like, can we please hear everything? And that was the first. It was called Blue Gender. Did anyone ever see Blue Gender? Yeah, one of you did. I don't think many people did, but that was the first show we actually record the way we do now. But I remember begging my boss going like, man, can we please get 8 megabytes of RAM? Just 8
Not megabytes.
They're like, Chris,
we got gigs now.
Nope, sorry. We got 2 megabytes. That's all we're
It's out of budget. It is out of budget. Well, that is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and open it to the audience, though, because I see you have quite the long line. Go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your first question.
Hi, Chris. My name is John. Thank you so much for coming back to Columbus. You do a lot of fan service, a lot of fan work for us here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
My first question, or my only question is, you've led such an amazing career, 30 plus years, it seems like, doing, Vegeta, Piccolo, and everybody else, just bringing our favorite characters to life. In your success, what failures have you had that you could share with us, and what did you do to overcome them, and what lessons did you learn?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've never failed.
I was going to say, that's tough.
I've never failed. That's the hardest thing about being me, is I've never had a single failure.
Even that Piccolo line was a win.
That was a win. I meant to do that. I don't know, man. It's hard to reflect on that because everything we were doing in the beginning was just because it was fun to do it. I mean, I regret not starting One Piece a lot sooner than I did, because now it's a real beating to have to watch it all at once. So I encourage you all to watch it now, because if the show actually is going to start ending, this is the last chance you have to watch it comfortably. I That's a question I gotta think about. I've never been asked that. Like,
You've stumped him.
yeah, you've stumped me. How did you do that?
Congratulations. After all these cons.
I don't know. Like, I just don't. I guess maybe I don't dwell on the failures at all. Trust me, I've had plenty of them. I know I should have probably had somebody back in to record instead of just leaving the take that was on the line, or because I was just tired. We were working 110 hours a week back in those Dragon Ball days to try and get those shows out. Luckily, my best friend was Justin Cook, the guy who plays Raditz and Super Boo and stuff. He was the director of Yu Yu Hakusho, and he played Yusuke. Luckily, we were best friends, and so I ended up just getting an apartment right next to Funimation at the time. So we would just work on the show at night and then come to my apartment and drink and play Sims and then start over again. My life just was all that. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about what I failed. I just kind of believe just to let things go, and I don't really dwell on stuff. But thank you.
Reframing it as like a learning situation too, as well. Like not seeing it as a failure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had that question before. Thank you. That was cool. I'm gonna be thinking about for the rest of the night now.
What did I fail at?
About to go to sleep tonight. I'm like, what were my failures?
Hi there. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Mina.
Hi, Mina.
I have a quick question. I do value my life, so if you do have the answer to this, please don't give any details. But is the One Piece real, and do you know what it is?
Thank you for that question. The biggest failure I've had was answering this question because Toye will kill me if I tell you all.
Do you really want to know, too?
But I can tell you what it is, and I believe, this is my theory. I believe it's a therapist, and they're going to get free therapy, and then they're all going to be great, and they're all going to deal with all their trauma, because everyone has trauma in that show. I remember watching it with my kids. I was like, it's cute. This is Chopper. This is going to be a cute little backstory. I was wrong.
So sad.
So wrong. Like, oh my God, why am I crying for a raccoon dog right now? This is...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Tegan. My question is, with your All Might voice, how difficult would you say it is to switch like abruptly from like the buff All Might to like the Twig All Might?
Twig. I've never heard of that. Like, Twiggy would be a great nickname for him. Weirdly, it's not that hard because All Might is such a costume of a voice. Like, All Might's just a presentational voice. And so whenever I'm doing All Might's voice, I always imagine that it's actually just a voice he's putting on, right? It's not his real voice necessarily. And in fact, what's harder than the All Might voice, because it's easy. I mean, being a hero guy is super simple because everything's very obvious. The hardest part was actually playing Twiggy All Might and making him sound enthusiastic, like, because he never, well, until a very specific point in the series, he was just as enthusiastic as everybody else. He was just wounded, that's all. But then, as it turns out, he actually was suffering with crippling depression, and I love the way that My Hero Academia handled that. By the way, also, what character from Splatoon are you?
Agent 3.
I love it. It's freaking awesome.
You look great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello there.
I don't need this. I can yell. I'm loud enough as it is. Hi, my name is Logan. So my question is, with My Hero coming to an end, and you guys getting one more season and whatnot, how do you feel about like knowing that this show that you've been with for so long is now about to just come to an end?
That's something I'm going to have to deal with in therapy as well.
Hey, when you find the One Piece, right?
Because it's like the first show that I've worked on that's actually come to an end. You know what I mean?
It's true. That's
like
a good
Dragon
point.
Ball hasn't ended per se. Like One Piece isn't done yet. Like it'll be the first like long-running epic series I've been involved in that's actually ended. But if I have learned anything from Dragon Ball. It's that don't ever assume that it's ended until all the smoke is cleared, because most likely they'll still just be standing there, heavy breathing, going like, "You haven't seen my next transformation." You know what I mean? Who knows what's in store? But I don't know if I would want Horikoshi Sensei to continue the show much more, because it clearly, he was affected by the pandemic or something, because it got real dark. Like, I remember watching it with my kids thinking like, man, I kind of just wish they'd just go back to school. Like,
What happened to these high schoolers?
yeah, it was like the high school stuff was the most fun for me, frankly. It just gets really depressing. I don't know. I think it would be nice to see it end in a really cool, satisfying way, and then have the mangaka say, "That's done. That's it."
And then in 8 years, My Hero Academia 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My Hero Academia Kai.
Yeah, exactly. Hi there.
Hi, I'm Sydney. Thank you for all that you do, by the way, for all of your various roles and everything that you've done.
Thanks.
My simple question was, I know that most actors tend to have a type of role or a particular type of character that they enjoy playing. Is there any type of character or any role that you just get into the booth and you're like, yes, I get to do this type of character specifically?
I like to do anything that's weird or different, but I will say that I mostly get cast on characters who are kind of like the rough around the edges one, the anti-hero type character who pretends to not want to be a part of the group, but really does, and it's kind of like the not necessarily angry, but the sullen guy that has the heart of gold. Like, Yami is a perfect example in Black Clover. Just like such a perfect character, and I relate to him so much. As if any of you saw Eric Vale's sign yesterday at my tip, it said Christopher Sabat will be late today due to explosive diarrhea.
Sounds like Eric Vale.
Eric and I go back and forth trading signs, but if we get there before the other ones, mine. I don't know if any of you saw Eric's today, but I said, please, because I got here super early. I was like, please join Eric Vale for his panel at 12:30 called "My Warts, My Life." Like, he may show up here to sign things before the panel, but warts. Eric and I have always done this to one another.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi there.
Hi, my name's Dwight, and my question basically was, when you started Dragon Ball Z, you said you came in as Yamcha, and well, not even Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball, you came in as Yamcha, but then we get to Dragon Ball Z, we get like 50 episodes in, and boom, you automatically have to take over Vegeta too. Were there any challenges that you had to face going from Yamcha, Piccolo, and a couple of others to adding another main character from the regular cast on there too?
Well, to be clear, I actually got Yamcha first. It was the first thing I did, but it was only a month later where they brought me in and said, "Hey, Chris, we're bringing the show from Canada, and we're gonna bring it to Dallas or Fort Worth here, and we're gotta try and cast it and stuff like that. So if you could try and help us with some auditions for the show." So that's when we actually auditioned everybody for Dragon Ball. And so at that time, they're like, "Well, you're gonna be Vegeta." I was like, "Cool. You're also gonna be Piccolo." I'm like, "All right." And then that's kind of where it started: Yamcha, Vegeta, and Piccolo. And then some of these other characters that started getting added, I guess Jace I also booked right away. Because when I came in, we started it right. If you guys are tracking this, around episode 68, it was where Goku is fighting Raccoon. I think he was like booty up. Like Raccoon was like booty to the sky around the first episode when I started working on it. And so that's where we were. In fact, we were at a point where Goku hadn't even shown up yet. So when Sean when Sean came in to record for Goku, he wasn't even aware that he was the main character because I hadn't told him.
He doesn't need to know.
Because he's like, I was trying to watch it on TV, and it looked like just about this show about a green guy and a little kid that went into the woods. It's like, oh yeah, you missed some stuff.
Show's clearly about you.
So that's where it was, and it just sort of added to it. I wasn't the original Corrin, right? Like there was a guy named Mark Britton who did Corrin, but he had to leave to do a comedy troupe and a comedy tour, and there were other characters that I just had to take over at that time because we didn't have, like back in 1998, we had like 12 people on our actor roster. We couldn't go to the agencies because Funimation was only paying people like $17 an hour back in those days. And I went to the agencies to go like, can we have some actors, please? And they said, you can have a nice warm glass of get the hell out of our office. And so it was, if I didn't use myself, I had to actually just find someone else in the office, like a receptionist or a graphic designer. So my shots were better at my ability to copy those people were better than, Susan in accounting or whatever.
So interesting how things have changed so much. Everybody's like, how do I be a voice actor? And you were like, I was pulling the graphic designer, begging her to read for us.
We didn't have the budget to call in actual people to do all the bit parts and stuff to any of the Walla. And so there were some real good ones.
Hi, my name is Cadence. A bit of a goofy question, but out of your popular characters that you do, what do you think their favorite snack would be? I don't know.
I mean, if you ask most people, Zoro is his own snack. Right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Let's see. Zoro eats rice balls, clearly, for some reason. And Vegeta eats broken glass to keep his voice in good shape. Yamcha eats failure and also excessive amounts of queso. Like he's, let's see, All Might is just addicted to protein drinks, protein bars, basically. Who am I missing? Yami eats really greasy food, clearly, and then spends the rest of his time in the bathroom suffering with the results of that.
Thank you.
And I love Usopp, too.
Yes. You better know it.
Your biggest failure, Yamcha. Not that you failed at him, he's just a failure.
He's just a failure,
there
right.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Jake. First and foremost, thank you, Chris, for your time here and being here today. My question is, we heard from her perspective earlier as being Bulma and having a very memorable experience with you, but I want to know from your perspective, is there a memorable positive fan experience maybe that you have had that you kind of hold close to your heart that has inspired you or kind of keeps you going, just something that you kind of go back to just be like, man, this is all worth it, or that's really great?
I think there's at least one person every weekend that I get to have an experience with or have a conversation with that tells me something that reminds me how easy my life has been by comparison. Because this show, this universe that Akira Toriyama created is this universe where so many people escaped into it, like One Piece, like Oda as well. All of these long shows are these universes where people go into them to escape, bad situations at home or bullying or long traumatic experiences or recoveries in the hospital. I remember hearing a story about a kid who was, maybe you heard about this too, he was stung by like 500 Africanized bees, and he survived, and he was allergic to bees, to add insult to injury, and he survived it by screaming as Vegeta. And so I contacted his family and had him come out to the convention, and bless his heart, man, like he survived it, but he has a lot of work to do, because that was a really traumatic experience, but I love it when people bring me, like, people have brought me challenge coins in the past, military challenge coins, and to know that each one of those coins was dedicated to a veteran's life that they saved or that helped recover. That's such a cool moment. And there's so many people who've watched these shows that have experienced loss. Like this show represents a time of where you watch the show with my brother or my sister or like someone who passed away, or this is a show I share with my dad. Like I get at least one person, if not many, every weekend of people telling me their stories, and it really keeps me very humble. And then just for something that's not quite as sad, I was on an airplane one time, and this guy goes, he's sitting in front of me on a plane. He goes, "Are you Chris Sabat?" I'm like, "Are you one of the Hansons?"
No way. Which one was it?
It was Zach Hansen.
My childhood crush.
Yeah, and
You're so lucky.
he's like, "Dude, you're Chris Sabat." I'm like, "You're a Hansen." That was pretty funny.
The Spider-Man
you.
meme. You. Thank you. Hello, Rengoku.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Noah. I'm from the great city of Cleveland, Ohio. Go Browns, Cavs, and go Tribe. Anyways, I'm asking this question on behalf of my friend Steve. It's a One Piece question. So my friend has the belief that Zoro has already surpassed Mihawk, and that Mihawk has been a fraud this entire time. Do you think Zoro has surpassed him, or do you think he still has a way to go?
That's a good question, Steve. Steve's messenger. I don't think Zoro's power will be fully realized until he can open his eye again.
Oh.
Like, maybe that's it. Maybe he opens it and, like, he transforms into whatever. It's really hard to tell with Zoro right now. It really is, because the dude, it's so fun to be Zoro, because I get to go in, do really cool stuff, and then take a nap for 20 episodes.
Lost.
So it's kind of hard to tell where he's at. Like, it's the show, I love about it. It's so long, and yet there's so many mysteries still. I've had people come up with the theory that Zoro's not actually lost, that he's actually walking in the direction of the One Piece at all times or something like that.
That's a cool theory. I like that.
It's pretty neat. But thank you, Steve's messenger.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. Hi.
Hi, my name's Carrie.
I know you, Carrie.
I'm
Those
sure
are
you
some
do by
nice
this
jeans,
point.
Carrie.
Thank you.
I love those.
My main question was, you've kind of run the entire gamut of different types of characters. Is there one type that you haven't been able to do, but are like chomping at the bit to try?
Oh, wow. There's characters I wish I could do. And that would be any character that's like extremely positive at all times. Like, I tell people, are like, "Do you wish you were Goku instead of Vegeta?" I'm like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't play Goku because I can't be, like, I have a really hard time pretending to be that nice. You know what I mean? Like, just the super overwhelmingly chipper, I'm not really good. And if I try to do it, it sounds forced and it sounds canned. Man, I've been super lucky. I've gotten to do a lot of fun stuff. Like, I eventually want to just do the voice of Solid Snake. That's it. That's my last goal in life.
That's a good choice.
But that's not really a stretch, is
I
it?
feel like the closest optimist you've done is Kuwabara.
Oh, yeah.
He rarely
Kuwabara.
dips into the pessimist side.
That voice for Kuwabara would never be done today. Never. No one would let
That
you
was
even.
my first anime, so when I heard you in your when I heard you in your normal voice, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, he does.
You
Wait.
mean he doesn't talk like that normally?
He doesn't sound that dumb all the time. He's yeah. I always joke how that was kind of a weird happenstance that I ended up being able to do that voice on that character, because if I ever did that voice on an audition now, I think I would end up in somebody's folder on their desktop called like weirdest auditions I've ever gotten. So.
Yeah, I also just wanted to say I've essentially stopped saying that I have zero sense of direction and just straight up started saying I have zero sense of direction because I just got lost in Brooklyn for an hour and a half 2 weeks ago. So.
I get lost every day, always.
I love this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Great cosplay, by the way.
You look very familiar.
My name is Brandon. Appreciate you. I wanted to ask, what is your favorite insult for the cook, or if you've ever been able to suggest any that have made it into the show?
Man, my favorite insult. I thought there's only like 3 insults for the cook. It's like idiot cook, curly brow, and dumb cook. I think that's literally the only 3 things. Can anyone think of any others?
Number 4.
Well, that's mine. But like, what would he call?
Number 4 is my favorite.
What'd you say?
Calling him number 4.
That's true. Should have called him a number 2. Yeah, I don't know. Just and as you're standing up here, I just thought about something because you've got Zoro with his eye closed, and it just made me think of this. And it's the first time I've ever thought of this. Maybe Zoro has known about the One Piece this whole time, and he's just been winking for many seasons. It's just this long, like.
We'll find it one day.
And he'll open up and go, "See what I mean? I knew it." Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is B. So I got to ask this question to the people that are here from My Hero yesterday. I've been trying to ask you guys questions for 2 years now. But my question was, out of the My Hero characters, which one do you relate to the most?
Well, I have 2 daughters, so I can relate to Aizawa's sleepiness, because I have a crazy schedule. But in some ways, I really like not in like the super cool ways, but like in the way that All Might deals with like his aging and like how long he can sustain his superpowers and stuff like that. I mean, I used to be able to scream for 14 hours straight as Vegeta, and now I can go like 2 hours and my throat feels like it's bleeding. But I also think a lot about like what skills am I passing on to my children too. So I can really relate to All Might in that respect, like seeing what sort of skills I can pass on to somebody else. I'm trying to find a funnier answer to that, actually.
It seems like a consensus that most of the voice actors on My Hero relate to themselves the most, except for the voice actor for Hawks, who relates to Deku.
I could see that. I could see Xena relating to Deku in a major way. Yeah, it's weird. I think because we've gotten to know those characters so well, we've sort of had a lot of time to reflect on those personality types. Yeah. It is funny because Clifford Chapin, who plays Bakugo, there have been many times, even before he was Bakugo, where I'd have to go, "Clifford, don't blow your voice out during the session. Like, you're freaking awesome."
And I tried to get his autograph the first year because I come as Bakugo every single year. I tried to get his autograph the first year, and he ditched. He was supposed to come, like he was in the lineup, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, it probably wasn't ditching though. It probably something came up.
That
yeah,
happened, but he was not there.
Well,
I'll tell you what,
get to see them soon.
Clifford, I can guarantee you, has never ditched a thing in his life because that is Clifford's personality. Clifford will see everything to the very dang end, and that is Clifford in a nutshell. So whatever happened happened.
Yeah. Hopefully you get to see him in the future. Thank you for your question. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Jace. First of all, I wanted to say that, a lot of your characters that you've played has really inspired me recently. And my question is, of all the characters that you've ever voiced, which one do you think is more like you, like outside of the studio?
Well, I have a little bit of Zoro in me in that I never know what direction I'm going. Like, I have to use GPS, even to the most basic of places.
It's wild that didn't exist at one point.
Oh my
I
God.
forgot that I used to print stuff out on MapQuest and use an Atlas.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I had to use a Maps.co,
Yeah.
like this weird.
From a gas station.
Yep. You had to ask strangers. And with my memory, I would never remember anything anyone would say to me either. And plus I could never, if you tell me go east or go west places, like that's just like another language to me. I feel like I share Yami's sense of humor, and because I can't remember anybody's name, so I give everyone kind of a nickname, or I don't call them anything. And I've already talked about All Might earlier, and let's see. I think that kind of summarizes it. Thank you.
Hi there. Nice shirt. Good Vegeta shirt.
Look at that Vegeta shirt.
And this is Latham. He's 5 years old. This is his first con.
Welcome.
Hi, Lathan. What's up, dude?
Everybody give it up for Lathan.
Look at him. He's so powerful.
That's right.
Oh, you guys look like when Vegeta smothered Trunks right before he blew himself up.
So sad.
It's just like, I've never hugged you, son. Well, clearly, because you don't know how to hug somebody. That's not how you do it. Like, let me jam your face into my stomach.
He wants to know that if Vegeta was ever forced to go to a Parents' Day at school, how would that go?
Oh, if Vegeta had to go to a Parents' Day at school? Firstly, Bulma would have to walk out to the car and go, Vegeta, get in the dang classroom. It started already. It's like, fine. Is Yamcha coming? And then he would just sit there pouting. And then if he heard one thing that Trunks didn't do that was like less than perfect, he'd be furious. What? He didn't get a perfect score on his math exam? Trunks! And then he'd like blast, power up, and burn the school down. That's what I think would happen.
I'll keep that in mind.
Nice to meet you, Lathan. Welcome to your first show, dude. You know, interestingly, I know that Lathan actually is a name, but that reminds me, this weekend has been like an inordinate amount of people who have normal names with a different first letter at the beginning.
Oh, and you have to like sign their. Do you sign?
Well,
names?
it's just literally there were 2 people in line yesterday, and one of them's name was like her name was like Nessica, and then right after that his name was like he had another common name like Yathan or something like that. I'm like, you gotta go find Nessica and have a baby named like Nilium or something like that. But there've been so many surprise names here at the show.
Unfortunately, we only have time for one more. But you can find.
Can we not get Jiro's answer though? Because that's my daughter's favorite character.
Absolutely, 2 more.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'll answer yours in a crappy short way. Okay.
Please come to his booth if you would love to answer those questions. You will be there today and tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Go right ahead.
So my name's Bamark, and
I love that.
Nice.
Well, I wanted to make a comment when you talked about positive fan interactions. The whole reason I'm here today is my daughter over there. I was literally laying there trying not to die this summer, and my daughter was like, Dad, you've got to watch this show. Like she was trying to find ways for me to get better, really. As I was just laying there, and All Might character just really took
As
hold.
a dad, I can feel you there, my friend.
So, thank you. And that's why I'm here today, because she's like, oh my God, Dad, look who's going to be here. You know, Chris and Justin Briner. But
he is not here, sorry.
But so my question is, with almost 500 IMDb credits to your name, what's the process that you go through so that everyone doesn't sound like Vegeta or All Might? Like, how do you, like, I have a hard time remembering all my kids' names, and you do such a good job with having such a distinguished characteristic for 497.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I would disagree. I'd say like half of the voices sound like Vegeta and the other half sound like Piccolo. But I really appreciate it. And by the way, I love it when I meet families that watch anime together. I love that you came up here. I love that you were watching this with your kids, because I watch these shows with my kids, and that's why I want to hear what you have to say, because my daughter absolutely adores Jiro. So.
Oh, it's not that important, but
It's okay. It's important
No
to me
pressure.
Hi, my name is Brianna. Question. So, when I saw the very last episode that you just dubbed of My Hero with All Might in that current situation that he was, it really, it was pretty devastating to see him like that. But when you went to go record it, how did you feel when you saw All Might in that bad of a shape?
When I actually got to preview that episode, because I was anticipating it was going to happen, I'd say my first reaction was, "Whoa, All Might's actually doing something! Yay!" And then I was like, "Oh man, this is painful. This is bad." But man, that show just kept hitting me in the stomach again and again, because anticipating that show was watching Uraraka's episode with Toga and Dobby's episode, and I'm sobbing uncontrollably through these episodes. And when I got to All Might, as he's using all of these attacks, using kind of the last of everything he has, and they're all named after his students, I was just like, waterworks everywhere.
What a great guy.
I've cried so many times in front of my daughters, at least with my oldest daughter and I cry through it. My youngest one looks at us sometimes going like, "What's crying, Dad? And why are you doing that?" But yeah, it felt really good though. I know it sucks to see him in such pain, but to know that he was doing what he wanted to do and he actually took the steps to do it, it took such courage and took all of the strength he had in him, and hopefully he might come out victorious. We don't know. I guess you guys have read the manga, so you know what's going on.
He doesn't have the Dragon Balls.
He doesn't have Dragon Balls. He doesn't. And that leaves me with one quick, tiny little story. When we first started we first started My Hero Academia, we were touring. We went to New York Comic Con, and they had brought Horikoshi, the mangaka for the show, and we'd all gone out to dinner. And I knew that if he's like any other Japanese celebrity person, he still smokes. So when he got up from the table, I followed him, and he went outside. And then I was like, "Oh, hey, funny to see you here. I'm a smoker now too."
Smoke too.
Yeah, I am a smoker now. And I was joking with him, and I was like, "Hey, I know this may, you don't have to listen to me or whatever, but I'll give you $50 if you don't kill All Might." And he goes, "Oh, I am afraid I cannot take that bet." It's like, "But you have the dragon. You can use the Dragon Balls, right?" And he goes, "That is not a bad idea." I'm like, it was so fun. Anyway, thank you. I love Jiro, and thank you for your question. That was a great question, because I was hoping I'd get to talk about that last episode. That was the most fun challenge I've had in a long time. I appreciate it.
It took me almost 40 minutes to stop crying.
Oh, it was so painful.
Thank you again. And thank you so much for joining us
Thank
and
you.
all the influence you have on the anime community. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Can I get one more round of applause for
Thank
the
you,
wonderful
guys.
Christopher Sabat?